You know, I think this lesson today has more to do with your financial future than probably any other lesson that we could teach. It's on self-image. It's on how you see you. I used to think $1 million was a lot of money. I don't think it is anymore. Now, $1 million has never changed its value. It was never a lot or a little. I made it whatever it was. And if you think $1 million's a lot, if you just shift your thinking, you could make it a little. See, the truth is it's neither a lot or a little. It just is. Everything just is. Flip the slide up for a second, Scott. This is important. I wasn't planning this, but it's probably why it's going to be good. Scott's in Manchester, so that in England, so that took a second for the idea to go across, you see. Here you are here. Now we'll say $1 million. That's an idea that's going to come into our mind. Now, is that a lot or a little? The truth is, it's neither one. It's our thinking here. In our conscious mind that makes it's how we look at it. The truth is, it just is. And we make it a lot or a little in our thinking. I used to think it was a lot. Now I think it's a little. Now what happened? Thanks, Scott. I just changed my thinking about it. And that's what I'm going to ask you to do. Now, this has been over 60 years that I've thought this. It didn't happen overnight. All right? I want you must begin to think differently if you want things to happen differently. It's just that simple. It's in our own thinking. Thinking is the highest function that you and I are capable of. And the truth is, most people don't think. I want to suggest that you listen to the average person that's talking. It's either idle conversation that has no meaning at all. It's not going to serve anybody one way or another. Or they're talking about why it can't work or why it won't be done. The truth is, most people are not thinking at all. They're just voicing an opinion of something that they've heard from somebody else, possibly got on the television or the radio or something like that. We must begin to think. We really must. Now, there's 3 essential questions we want to ask ourselves. How does self-image impact my life? How does it impact my life? How is self-image formed? How is self-image changed? That's the vital one. You see, the other 2, they don't really matter that much. We've got to learn how to change it. Self-image impacts your life in everything you do, everything you do. So let's look at it. There's the conscious, the subconscious, and the body. Now, your self-image is in your subconscious mind. And the self-image in the subconscious mind controls your behavior to an enormous degree and produces the results you're getting. Now, if you don't like the results, you've got to change that image of yourself. That is all there is to it. You know, I knew absolutely nothing about this until I was 26, and then I knew mighty little for the first couple of years. But until I was 26, I knew nothing about self-image. I look back, and I had a very low self-image. I had a poor self-image. But, you know, as I stop and think of the way I was raised, the environment I was raised in and everything, they were good people. They just didn't know. They did not know. They didn't know they didn't know either. And so I grew up struggling, and I was always very shy. Why would a person be shy? Because they have low self-esteem. They feel inferior to almost everyone and everything that they come across. Now, ask yourself, how do you behave? Are you confident? Are you wealthy? Are you struggling? You know, how's your business? Is it growing? Is it shrinking? Is it staying the way it is? See, the self-image controls everything. Do you know the crazy part about this? A company has a self-image too. A company, it's the composite of the images that operate in the company. That's what the company's self-image is. Now there's a book that everyone should have. Psycho-Cybernetics. It came out in 1960. I don't have any regrets in the past, but I have a few things I wished would have happened. I had never met Maxwell Maltz, and I had the opportunity to meet him, but I didn't meet him. Maltz died somewhere around 1969. I was selling tickets. I was working at Nigel Conan, and I was selling tickets for a seminar that he was going to do in Wisconsin, and I was going to go over. But that seminar never happened because he passed on to spirit before it happened. But he was a brilliant guy. He was a cosmetic or a reconstructive surgeon, and he would operate on people and literally change their lives. But sometimes he operated and didn't change their life at all. It changed their appearance, but that was it. I remember I worked with a woman in a factory long ago, before I ever got into any of this. She had a very distasteful scar from her ear to the corner of her mouth. How it happened, I have absolutely no idea. But I do know she would talk to you, she would have her hand like this almost. She always tried to hide it. It was obvious that it was bothering her. Now, Maltz would meet people like her, and he would remove the scar. I often thought after I got to know Maltz, it's too bad that her name was Lorraine. She was really a pretty girl, but she had that one physical disfigurement. I don't know how it happened, but I know it bothered her. Well, Maltz would operate on people, and sometimes there would be an enormous change in their behavior, in their appearance. They not only removed the scar, not only changed the physical appearance, there was a psychological shift. They changed how they saw themselves, and totally different personality. But sometimes he'd operate, and the physical operation would be very successful, but no change in their appearance or in their thoughts about themselves. There was no psychological change. This led him to postulate that we have an inner and an outer image. When you stand and look in the mirror, you get a reflection back. That's an image of you. And that's the physical, that's the self-image. But you've got one inside, and that's how you see you. Now, that's what I want to talk about. We want to talk about growth. And if you want to grow, if you want your income to grow, we're talking about money this week. If you want your income to grow, you have to change. That's absolutely essential. Now, think about that really strongly for a moment. You've got to change. Change has to happen in your life, and you've got to bring the change about. No one else is going to do it. Now, look at this for a moment. Blow that up, Scott, please. You get one life, just one. And I know you get a lot of people telling you they've come back a second time. Well, maybe they have, but I've never heard anybody can prove it yet. I've got my own thoughts about that. But so far as we know, you got one bite at the apple. And it's about your lifestyle. It's about your contribution. It's about how you spend your days. Well, now here's the bottom line. It's all dependent on how we see ourselves, our own self-image. Our own self-image. How do you see you? That's controlling your life to an enormous degree. Now, let's take a look here again. Here you are. That is going to represent you, it'll represent me. And there's our conscious, our subconscious, and our body. Now, our conscious mind is our thinking mind, the highest function we're capable of. That's also our educated mind, and that's where the intellect is resident. The subconscious is the emotional mind. Operates quite different from the conscious mind. It has no power that the conscious mind has, and yet has enormous power in the subconscious. You see, the conscious mind can choose. It has the ability to think. You can choose. You have the ability to accept or reject. You can accept or reject everything I'm saying. I'm recommending you think about it. Don't necessarily accept it and don't reject it, but think about it. Then I think you'll adopt it. You have the ability to originate in your conscious mind. Now, the subconscious doesn't have that. It must accept everything we give to it because it has absolutely no ability to reject. The subconscious mind is immoral. It's like the earth. It has no choice about what you plant, but it'll return what you plant. It cannot determine the difference between what you imagine and what's real. You can imagine something, it's going to disturb you just the same as if it was happening in real life. Now, let's take a look at you from another perspective. You're a mass of energy and you function on frequencies. Okay, there you are there. We'll talk about frequencies possibly a little later. But there you are there, just a high mass of energy. And you can see the energy leaving the body. And you can literally train yourself to see that. Some people refer to that as the aura. That's the energy leaving the body. It can be measured. Okay? Now, you have a paradigm. And it's a mental program that has almost exclusive control over your habitual behavior. And almost all of your behavior is habitual. This program literally it's controlling your income. No question about it. It's controlling the amount of money you earn. It's controlling how you look at things, whether it's a lot or a little. If you want to get your finances in good shape, you got to get your head in good shape, insofar as your self-image is concerned. Now let's take a look here. Cybernetics and paradigms. Two words, they're synonymous. They're both control systems and operate essentially on the same principle. Both maintain a different course of action, or a definite course of action, and will not deviate from the set course. That has been established. You must alter the paradigm if you desire to achieve improved results. Both companies and individuals have operating paradigms. You've got one in your subconscious mind that's controlling you. Okay? Now look at, here's a baby, all right? A beautiful little baby. Let's put the graphic illustration, how we look at a baby when we're putting this idea across. There it is there, okay? Now, stay with me here. I want you to think of that baby. That baby will grow up with a desire for certain kinds of food. It'll dress in a certain way, and that baby's going to determine what kind of food it likes, how much it's going to eat. It determines what they think about money. It controls everything. And that image that the baby holds about all these things is formed in their little life. Everything that is happening in the baby's environment is going directly into that baby's subconscious mind. That's right. There's images being planted in that baby's mind. We become a product of our environment to an enormous degree. It's like Charlie Jarvis used to say, or he said that, that we're the product of the books we read and the people that we associate with. And I believe he's correct. You get a self-image there planted in your subconscious mind. And that self-image is controlling your life to an enormous degree. It's part of the paradigm. You see, the paradigm is a multitude of ideas. Self-image is one of them. And that literally controls your life. Now let's take a look here at the transformation that takes place. At a certain point, we start to hear, see, smell, taste, touch. Okay? And the conscious mind is also the intellectual mind. And we have certain intellectual factors. We can, call them out here. We have a number of times: perception, the will, imagination, memory, intuition, and reason. Now the problem is, as children, we weren't taught anything about these. Nothing. We go to school. We never learned anything about that in school. Okay? So school will begin, and the paradigm continues to grow. Yeah? Now let's look here for a moment. A paradigm and cybernetic instruments operate essentially the same. There's a thermostat in a home. That thermostat operates on what we call a cybernetic mechanism. It's a cybernetic instrument. And you set the temperature to stay at 70 degrees in your home. Now, that temperature stays at 70 degrees. Let's suppose you're sitting and you notice there's a draft around your feet and you start to feel cold. All right? The temperature, something's wrong. The temperature has dropped and the thermostat picked it up. It dropped to 65 degrees. Now, what do you have to do? You have to do nothing. Now, you may get up and look, what's going on? Why is the temperature dropped? And you notice somebody left their front door open, cold air's blowing in. But you didn't have to do anything to change the temperature. You just closed the door. The temperature, the change in temperature is measured by the cybernetic system, the paradigm in the system. And it sends a message to the furnace, turn the fire on, raise the heat, blow the fan, get the fans going. And so the temperature starts to rise. And it goes from 65, 66, 67, 68, 69, and then bingo, hits 70, the fire automatically turns off. The goal has been reached. The control system brought it right back to where it belonged. This all happens automatically, and the same with you. The same with you. Let's take a look at another place cybernetic system operates. It operates in airplanes. We call them automatic pilots. They're actually cybernetic systems. A flight pattern is programmed into the plane's computer system. When the plane goes off course, the cybernetic system measures the deviation from the set goal and corrects the flight pattern. All right? Now let's look. Plane's leaving Chicago and it's going to go to Paris. That plane has in the system a cybernetic mechanism. And when that plane goes off course, I'm going to tell you, the plane will change it. So there's the plane going along. It gets hit by turbulence and it gets knocked off course. The second the plane leaves the flight pattern, look at that. The cybernetic system's activated, puts the plane back on course, and it reaches its goal. Now, it goes off course many, many times. In fact, I think Price Pritchett put on one time that a rocket on its way to the moon is off course 95% or 99% of the time. It's correct, and that's what this is. That's what we've got. We've got to get the paradigm. The paradigm says correct, and it keeps us where we are. Could be in a bad spot. And if we start to get in a good spot, correct, go back to the bad spot. That's the way it works. Now look here. The self-image is a cybernetic mechanism. That's exactly what it is. And let's take a look how it works. Okay? You have a self-image here, and it's controlling your behavior. Now, your self-image may say, you're overweight. I'm overweight. I'm fat. I'm too heavy. And every now and then the person gets tired of looking at themselves overweight, so they say, I'm going to go on a diet. I'm going to lose weight. Now, what they should be saying is, I'm going to change my self-image, but they don't even know that. They think, I'm going to go on a diet. That's the trick. So they go on a diet, and look at, they lose the weight. They lose the weight. But like the room temperature, hit back the goal, and they think, we better correct this thing. Well, here the self-image is looking, and this person's off course. They're off course. They're losing weight. When a person who is overweight goes on a diet without altering their self-image, any weight loss will be temporary. The self-image, being a cybernetic instrument, measures the deviation from the set goal and immediately corrects course. The weight that was lost is found. And and they go back and they put it back on. Now, they usually put on about 5 pounds more than they took off. But at any rate, that was the self-image doing that. You see? They never changed the self-image. Now, let's take a look at another situation, okay? Here's another situation. Self-image, okay. This is a student in school. And the child's marks are not good. I mean, they're failing. And so when they bring the report card home, the parent, they land on the kid, and he's grounded. The child's grounded and made to study, okay? And because they're studying, and they have tests every now and then in school, the marks go up. And the parents are told by the teacher, the kid's doing okay. Things are changed. But nobody ever suggested that the child change the image of himself. The teacher didn't suggest it, the parent didn't suggest it, and the kid doesn't know. Now that self-image should have been changed. When a person is receiving poor grades in school, it's an expression of the self-image that they're holding. The person believes that they're not very bright. They, of course, receive a report card that reflects their poor self-image. Now, the parent makes the child give up recreational activities and study. The grades improve, but the improvement's temporary. That child has never changed his self-image. And so, bang, bang, they're back on course and they get the same grades. Now, I lived like that when I was a kid in school. I don't know about you. I was never overweight. I was the other way. I was too thin. God, I couldn't put on weight. And it was the way everything was the way I saw myself. It was the way we operated. Now, ask yourself, how many people do you know that fall into this trap? There are just all kinds of them. Look here. There's the person with the sensory factors. They have a paradigm. It's burned into their subconscious mind, okay? That paradigm controls their vibration, which controls their behavior and controls the results, okay? Now, they've got marvelous faculties here. One of them is the imagination. The imagination can build a beautiful new image. And if they understand what they're doing, they can plant that self-image in their subjective mind. And if they do it repetitively, they can get it to stick. It's exactly what I did. They get it to stick, and everything's going to change. But you see, most people don't know that. Now look, we already have the knowledge and the power to accomplish most anything we want. However, we have not developed a clear understanding of how paradigms are formed or how those paradigms control our habitual behavior. Now it's really pathetic when you stop and think about it. Therefore, we frequently do not do what we already know how to do. We have superior knowledge, inferior results. That causes confusion and frustration. Now let's go back to our diagram here. Here we are. A person's got all the knowledge locked up there in the consciousness. But the results would indicate they don't know very much at all. You can never go by the results to know what a person's like. All your results will tell you what they think they're like, but it doesn't tell you what they're really like. If they knew what they were really like, everything would change and change so dramatically. You see, if that person wants to enjoy a better life, they've got to change the results. And they not only have to change the results, they've got to make definite change in the paradigm. Got to build a new paradigm. Now listen, I honestly believe I am an excellent example of this. And I often talk about Mikey. Mikey is an excellent example of this. When I first was given this book, I was one sad sucker, I'll tell you. I never did anything very well. I was always broke. I was a pretty unhappy guy. Good things just weren't happening around me very often. I had very low self-esteem. And when Ray said, you can have anything you want, you can imagine where that resonated in my head. See, I didn't have any self-recognition for that. I didn't believe that. But you know something? I was awake enough to realize he believed it. When Mikey came around our company, she was Mikey Euler. She was a nanny for a couple looking after their kids. And she started to do work with somebody that was doing work for us. And they treated her terribly. And through a series of situations, Mikey ended up coming to work with our company. Today, she's our chief operating officer. She's also our marketing director. She's the voice of us when you come on. That's Mikey. And now she's Mikey Stellar. She has a husband who's a pretty bright guy. She has 2 little kids. Beautiful, absolutely beautiful kids. And she is a very, very, very effective human being. I can see myself in Mikey because I changed like she did. And she's had an enormous change. When these things happen, people usually notice it, but they never say, how did it happen? And sometimes a person doesn't even know how it happened. I didn't know how it happened. I didn't understand this when it was happening. But you see, I did make a decision, and if you're going to change, you're going to make it. And it's got to be a committed decision. If you don't make a committed decision, it's not worth much. Then you have to apply discipline to your life. Now, I didn't, I never had much discipline. I was in the Navy. They talked about discipline. Their discipline was a form of punishment. I mean, they really worked you over if you were a bad boy, I'll tell you. Well, discipline is the ability to give yourself a command and then follow it. Okay? Here's how it happens. We've used this quote so many places because it fits so many places. He said, you never change things by fighting existing reality. To change something, you got to build a new model that makes the existing model obsolete. In other words, you're going to be the container of the model. The model is an image in your mind. And you're going to build a brand new picture of yourself that makes the old picture go away. Okay? I like the way Hunt put it. Decide what you want. Decide what you're prepared to give up to get it. Set your mind to it and get on with the work. God, that is so good. Okay? Now look at. There's the mind and the subconscious and the body. There you are again, your self-image. It controls your actions, which produces the results. So let's take a look here. Here's our mind. You cannot see this too often. You got to burn it in. When I look at you, this is what I see. Conscious, subconscious, and the body. Now you have all these sensory factors, and to an enormous degree, all the information we get that changes our life comes through those senses. We let the outside world control us to an enormous degree. Now we know the conscious mind is also the intellectual mind. And let's take a look at those intellectual factors again. Okay? Because they are what you use to change what's going on in the emotional mind or the paradigm. You've got perception, the will, imagination, memory, intuition, and reason. Now, these are what you use to change the paradigm. But we know nothing about how to use them, and it's unfortunate. They're all sitting right in our conscious mind. That is what separates us from all of the rest of the animal kingdom. These higher faculties. Because we have these higher faculties, we can change the image and change our life. It's these higher faculties that tell that paradigm, get out of town. And then enables you to build a new paradigm. But you see, most people don't know how to do that. You see? You could be hearing my voice and still not know how to do it. Okay? Let's take a look. Power, thoughts. You send those thoughts out into the universe. And then we also turn them over to our subconscious mind, and we send the feeling, because that was the vibration, off into the universe. And those feelings are expressed with and through the physical body, so it causes the body to change in its vibration. It causes the actions to change. Now, most people, I'm going to ask you, check with some people today, ask them what attitude is. Ask them if they can describe attitude. Most people are at a loss to describe attitude. Now look here for a moment. 1, 2, 3. That produces the results. That's the attitude. The attitude is your position or bearing as indicating thoughts, feelings, and actions. It's not your thoughts, it's not your feelings, it's a composite of all three. That's what attitude is. And most people don't understand that. When they have a bad attitude, they're just going to get bad results. It's common. Okay? So let's keep going. Here's the vibration caused by the paradigm. Now, your imagination gives you the ability to build a brand new idea, create a new mindset. And you can impress that new mindset upon the subjective mind. And when you do, if you do it, and you keep doing it for about 30 days, you're going to change your life. Because it changes the vibration the second you do it, which changes the result. Okay? So let's suppose we built this image. I am so happy and grateful now that money comes to me in increasing quantities through multiple sources on a continuous basis. Now look here for a minute. Look at this. See this? You can have all you want. Oops, I got a band on that. Okay? This is more than the one I had yesterday. That's a fan, you see. I just hold that up because at one time I never even saw that much money. You can have that, and you can attract it to you. Get the idea. I am so happy and grateful now that money comes to me in increasing quantities through multiple sources on a continuous basis. Okay, now watch this really carefully. You've got to take that idea and plant it in your subconscious mind, and you've got to bury it over the paradigm. The paradigm's going to try and stop it. You've got to take that and plant it right in your subconscious mind. And you've got to do it so that the paradigm is not going to reject it. You've got to mentally hold that idea in your mind. That's what changes your vibration. When your vibration changes, the lights go on and everything seems to change. You're living in a totally different world. A totally different world. Everyone can do this. Now this seems so simple. It seems, well, it just seems like it's fantasy, like it won't work. Understand, everything starts in fantasy. The building that you're sitting in at one time was nothing but a fantasy in somebody's mind. We're capable of changing everything and changing anything. Do that for 30 days. Look at, take this and do it for 30 days. Just keep planting that idea in your mind for 30 days. Do this over for 30 days. I guarantee you money will start coming to you through multiple sources on a continuous basis. It's beautiful how it happens. It really is. Now you've got to take conscious control over yourself. You've got to take control of what's going on in the subconscious mind. You've got to change the vibration you're in. When you do all these things, everything starts to happen. Now let's take a look at how it happens. It starts in the heart. Listen, the heart is where everything starts with you. Your spiritual DNA is perfect. There's perfection in you. So why Solomon said, in all your thinking, get understanding. Start to understand. He says, it's as a person thinketh in their heart, so are they. The heart's in the subjective mind. Now watch. Just keep your eye on this. Your heart is trying to tell you, grow, because the spirit within you wants to express itself in a greater way. That spirit is always saying, grow. That's why we're never satisfied. See, my grandma told me when I was a little boy, you should be satisfied. Grandma was wrong. Now, she was an angel of God, but she was wrong. You should never be satisfied. See, dissatisfaction is a creative state. Dissatisfaction comes from the spiritual essence of who we are. Spirit's always for expansion and fuller expression. It's forever attempting to express itself in a greater way. So it's the want in the heart. Now look carefully. It's the want inside seeking expression outside. But it's got to go through. The conscious has to take it. So the imagination takes that idea and builds the want. Now here's the bizarre part. You went to spirit to get it, okay, and you built it. Now you turn it back over to spirit, and through the reciprocal law of spirit, it gives it back to you in physical form. You plant the want, and it turns into desire as you feed it. And desire is the effort of the unexpressed possibility within, seeking expression without through your action. So its action causes a reaction, and that changes the conditions, the circumstance, and environment in your life. Or you could add it all together and say that changes your results. You see, I keep telling you the same thing over and over again. Now let's look at it this way. Control the flow of thought energy. Let it flow freely to and through you, improving everything with which it connects. Look at you're an instrument through which thought energy is always flowing. It never stops. It's flowing to and through us. It's the nature of our being. It's flowing to and through us. So watch carefully now and pay attention. That thought energy is in you. It is you. You are a massive energy. You see, the thought energy we talk about, it's made you. Your body's nothing but a massive energy. That's what it is. But it's got programs in it. Now let's take a look. A frequency is a level of vibration. Okay? That's what a frequency is. It's a level of vibration. Look here for a moment. See this phone? It operates on a frequency. It is. This phone is online right now. This phone is hooked up to a phone in Manchester, England. There's no wires on this thing. It's sitting here on my desk. But Scott Edwards is in Manchester in England, and he's hearing everything I'm saying, and he's controlling this entire studio. This studio it's a television station. We built our own television station. We can broadcast all over the world. You want to stay tuned into us because we're going to send you phenomenal information. We encouraged you to get other people to tune in here. Our objective is to change everything in the world. I believe we can do it. A small group of people have always done it in the past. Why couldn't we do it now? Get your friends, plug in, get them to plug in. They can listen to everything that's going on all week. It's all recorded, and we'll leave it up for them to hear. So get on the phone, tell them to get in here. Now look at this again. Watch. That frequency, that is a level of vibration. That's what it is. This phone operates on a frequency. Now, because Scott Edwards is on the same frequency as I'm on, we can talk. Now look at. There's an infinite number of frequencies. There's no end to them. Break here for a second and look at this phone. When I was a kid, we did not have a phone. We never had a phone in our house until I was probably around 15. And that was because, for two reasons. One, we didn't have very much money. And number two, you couldn't get one anyway. And when we did get one, it was a party line. There was about 100 people on the same frequency. So when you started talk got fitting because people would pick up their phone and listen to you. There's an infinite number of frequencies today. There was then, but we weren't aware of that. Yet because we weren't aware, we couldn't utilize it. But as we developed a greater awareness, we realized that's all there is energy, and it operates on frequency. Energy operates on frequencies. Now look at every frequency is hooked up to the one above and the one below. Every frequency is hooked up to the one above and the one below. Now, if you study this long enough, you're going to realize that means everything in this universe is connected. I'm connected to the chairs here in this studio that I'm in. Now, it all operates on frequency. I operate. This body that I'm in is a massive energy. It's my consciousness that dictates what frequency I'm on. When you're on the frequency of another person, you communicate very well with them. Now come back here and look. Every frequency is hooked up to the one above and the one below. Now this is where Einstein put it very well. He said the intuitive mind is a sacred gift. The rational mind is a faithful servant. We've created a society that honors the servant and has forgotten the gift. We don't use all these higher faculties. Why wouldn't we do that? Because we're not aware of it. And if you're not aware, you're not going to use it. How much do you know about this? Stay with me. Look here. Keep looking. Now, look at this very carefully. let that X represent where you are in your life. Now come back for a moment, Scott. Let's take this. Here's this money. Where do you stand when it comes to money? Where do you stand? Ask yourself, where do I stand? Now look at that X again. Come back. That X represents where you are, okay? Take an honest look at where you are in your life, and you can see how you got there. You can actually see how you got there. You see, there's frequencies. Each one of these frequencies is a level of vibration, and we can go back to the time we were kids, and I can see I was on a very low frequency. I must have been on a low frequency. I didn't have very much of anything. Now, look at the X where you are. Now look at this. We'll say, that's really where I want to go. That other X out there, but it's out there and I don't even know how to get there. It's way out there. That's the thoughts that we have, you know, the beautiful dreams. And we let them go and then we just let them fade. Well, I'm going to say, don't let that sucker fade. Bring it back and look at it. And let's understand that X represents a frequency. When we go there, we actually went to where that is. This is real. This is not kids' play. You can mentally go there, and when you do, you're already there. Then stay there, and you'll attract it. The moment your belief matches with any state, you fuse with it. See, you go back there, and you believe it, you fuse with that. The second your belief matches with any state, you fuse with it. This union results in the activation and projection of its plots, plans, conditions, and circumstance. This new state of conscious awareness becomes your home from which you view the world. This is your workshop. If you're observant, you will see outer reality shaping itself upon the model of your imagination. This is so powerful. Now take a look again. There you are. That's where you want to go. But you let it fade because you don't know how to get there. Look at this. Look what Steve Jobs said. He said, you cannot connect the dots looking forward. You can only connect them looking backwards. So you have to trust that the dots will somehow connect in the future. When you look at your life, you can see how you got to where you are, but you cannot see how you're going to get there. Hillary did not know how to get to the top of that mountain. The Wright brothers didn't know how to get the planes off the ground. Edison didn't know how to make the incandescent light. They didn't know, but they believed if they worked at it, it would come to them. It would come to them. Eventually, they would have it. And I don't care what it is you want. You decide how much of this stuff you do want. Because you can have all you want. There is no limit to it. There is no limit. It's a beautiful thing, you see? And the dots will connect when you lock in. And when you get there, you'll say, damn, I could have gone there. Isn't that interesting? I could have gone there. Mm-hmm. That's just about the way it is. Progress of this nature is an expression of higher levels of awareness. See, the Wright brothers, 1903, December 17th. And here we are, from Kitty Hawk, North Carolina to the moon, just 979 months. Beautiful thing to understand. Most people are extras in their own movie. You are the director of your life. Change that. What do you really want? There's no end to what you want. There's no end to it. You can have anything you want. You just got to control the energy. Start to control it. To move to a higher state or a higher frequency of thought, you have to consent. It's got to be your decision. I can't do it for you. No one can do it for you. You've got to do it. The parent can't even do it for the child. Then you have to adapt to the ideas and feelings the new frequency represents. As the suggestion of a move to your paradigm, at the suggestion of a move, your paradigm is going to put up an instant battle. It does not want you to change, and it'll continually fight you. You've got to change it. Now look here. This is in my book, Think and Grow Rich. It says, there's a difference between wishing for a thing, being ready to receive it. Nobody's ready for a thing until they believe that they can acquire it. The state of mind must be belief, not mere hope or wish. Open-mindedness is essential to belief. Closed minds will not inspire faith, courage, or belief. You got to be ready. You're ready when you believe you can do it. Now listen, trust me. Just trust me. That's what I did. I trusted Ray. I'll show you how to get there. Hope and wish doesn't do it. You got to believe. You really got to believe. And then you're on your way when you believe. Now remember, no more effort is required in order to aim high in life, to demand abundance and prosperity than is required to accept misery and poverty. Pick a target that you'll reach in the next 30 days. Say, that's where I'm going. There's a quote that I just love because I feel the same way. Alfred Adler, he said, I am grateful to the idea that has used me. Well, I'm going to tell you, I'm grateful for the ideas that have used me. We are instruments through which ideas express themselves. That's really what we are. We got to understand that. Now let's look. We'll bring it in for a landing with the balloon here. There's the mind. You got to want something. When you really want it and get emotionally involved, it becomes a desire. Desire is the effort of the unexpressed possibility within, seeking expression without through your action. It's the results that you really want to change. That's what the Proctor Gallagher Institute is all about. Sandy Gallagher and I decided we want to build this company. And we couldn't do it alone. We've got some phenomenal people working with us. Absolutely incredible. I was talking about Mikey here a minute ago. Mikey Steller. We've got Tommy Collier. We've got Arash Vasagi. We've got a lot of people in this company who are quite incredible. I have an assistant, Gina Hayden. Gina started work for me, it'll be 35 years ago in July. Imagine, 35 years ago. We had an office, we had a number of people in it. I'm not good at typing, you know, so it'd take me a long time to plunk out a letter. And I would go and get one of the girls in the office to help me. I kept going back to Gina because she did it faster and better than anybody. And I thought, I'm going to just get Gina to work with me. Gina became my personal assistant. She's absolutely incredible. She anticipates what I want to do. She gets it done before I even think of it. She's quite an extraordinary person. We have a lot of Ginas in this company. We got a lot of Mikeys and Tommies. I mean, just phenomenal people. So I'm going to just say a prayer. I want everybody here to get what I've taught. I want you to get other people into this. Get some of your friends, you know. I'd like everybody that can hear my voice to phone one person, just one, and say, you've got to go and register in this thing. This information is too good to be missed. And it is. I've spent my entire life, I've 60 years of studying this. And I'm going on another 60. I know.